I was born in 1965 in London, fairly unremarkable education. The real story of my life and what I did with it begins in 1985 when I joined the Ministry of Defence, and I was moved around from various different postings. Then in 1991 I was asked whether I would like to spend 3 years investigating UFOs for the government, so I said that sounded quite interesting and I accepted.
The Ministry of Defence insider is about to talk publicly about the secret world of UFO sightings. Nick Pope spent 4 years as the MOD's UFO watcher. His book about his experiences, Open Skies, Closed Minds, is published next month. Nick Pope, what do you believe now that you didn't believe 5 years ago?
Well, I came into the job as a skeptic, but I was convinced by the sheer weight of evidence, the sightings, the radar evidence, all that sort of thing, that some of these things that we see in the sky and call UFOs are extraterrestrial in origin.
Extraterrestrial what? Craft with people inside them?
Well, craft of some sort, certainly. That's not to say they all are. Of course, most of them have conventional explanations, but after rigorous investigation, we find that 5 or 10% absolutely defy any conventional explanation, and these ones, yes, it does look as if they may be some sort of craft from elsewhere.
We asked Nick Pope, who used to investigate UFOs for the Ministry of Defence, what he thinks of this sensational video.
This is one of the better fakes that I've seen. Looking at the skills of the filmmaker, I think it's a nice piece of work. It's well put together, and the black and white imagery is a nice touch because it plays into that whole idea that this might be something that's been in the government vaults for a while. Might even relate to Roswell, the holy grail of ufology.
Do governments know more about life on other planets than they tell us? Nick Pope used to work on UFOs for the Ministry of Defence and has written a book about it. Nick, simple, straightforward, first question. Is there life out there, yes or no?
Yes.
You believe that?
Absolutely.
Tell me why.
Well, scientists are beginning to come forward now, and for years they've been very, very conservative. But now cosmologists and biologists are beginning to put papers down saying, yes, the universe is probably teeming with life, and I think it's a short step to then say that life could get here.
Are they little bubblegum green men with things coming out of their heads?
No, they're actually little grey men and women, one presumes, about 3.5 feet tall, with very large insect-like eyes. They're quite spindly in appearance and appear to act like a hive society with very little individual self-will.
You're joking.
Absolutely not. These reports have been coming in independently from all around the world for years and years, long before all this was in the public domain. People are describing a very real phenomenon.
Nick Pope has become one of the most credible and well-known researchers on the issue of UFOs. He worked for many years studying the issue for the British Ministry of Defence, and I met up with him at his house in Tucson, Arizona.
The second and critical question is, do UAPs represent a possible threat to the defence of the realm? We could argue never shown hostile intent. However, Russian aircraft attempting to penetrate the UK air defence region in the Cold War never showed hostile intent, but they certainly represented a threat. Thus, the only
if you show up and you don't do anything doesn't mean that you're not necessarily.
And this is it in a nutshell. Thus, the only logical conclusion that we can come to is that we do not know if UAPs represent a threat to the defence of the realm. And this is Defence Intelligence, Science and Technology.
Some sad news for us here at News Nation. A friend of the network who I had the pleasure of interviewing not too long ago, Nick Pope, has just passed away from cancer. You'll remember Nick as one of the most prominent voices on all things UFOs. His work on aerial phenomenon at Britain's Ministry of Defence led him to being known as the real-life Fox Mulder, Fox Mulder being the lead character in the hit show The X-Files. In one of his last emails to our producers, he said he'd be spending his remaining days with, quote, plenty of laughter, watching various British comedy shows with his beloved wife, Elizabeth. Elizabeth posting this evening on X saying she was lucky to have married Nick and that he was a wonderful husband. Nick, you will be missed by so many. Thank you for your positivity, all that you put into the world, and you will not be forgotten.
There will inevitably be unknown unknowns, inextricably linked up with and part and parcel of the UFO phenomenon. So the UFO phenomenon may end up, firstly, being something that is solvable, but the solution may be something that we hadn't quite expected or completely
perhaps hadn't expected. It may tell us something fundamentally new and different about the universe, and it may tell us something new about ourselves.